My mom sold my house while I was on vacation to pay off my sister's $218,000 debts. When I came back, my name is Addison Clark. I'm 31 years old. When I came back, the driveway was empty. The cab turned onto my street, and I felt that little knot in my stomach unwind. That's the best feeling, isn't it? The one just before you get home. 3 weeks in Miami was nice, but it was too long, too hot. I just wanted my own bed, my own coffee machine, and the quiet of my own home. I paid the driver and stepped out onto the curb. I stopped. The driveway was empty. My little blue sedan wasn't there. I always left it parked right by the porch. I looked at the gate, the little brass plaque, the one my dad and I had drilled in years ago. It said Addison Clark. It was gone. There were just 2 small, empty holes in the wood. My hand tightened on my suitcase handle. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe my sister Claire thought it would be funny. I walked up the path. The paint on the porch was different. Mine was a soft gray. This was a bright, ugly beige. The curtains in the front window were new, too. Mine were simple linen. These were frilly with little yellow flowers. Claire's style. Not mine. I felt a cold prickle on my neck. I put my key in the lock. It didn't turn. I tried again. I jiggled it. Nothing. They had changed the locks. I dropped my suitcase. It made a loud, hollow sound on the new paint. I knocked. My hand was shaking. I heard laughing inside. It was my mother's laugh, high and light, and Claire's deeper and a little mean. The door opened. My mother, Brenda, stood there. She was wearing a new dress. She had that fake bright smile plastered across her face, the one she used when she was about to ask for money. "Addison, you're back early," she said. Her voice was too high. Behind her, Claire leaned against the hallway wall. She was twirling keys on her finger. Keys to a brand new white SUV I could now see parked in my car's spot. "Hope you enjoyed your vacation," Claire said. Her smile was real. It was a grin, smug. We made some changes. I looked past them, into my house. Or what was my house? My couch was gone. My grandmother's armchair, gone. The painting I'd bought in college, gone. The walls were bare. The whole house smelled wrong. Mine smelled like lavender and old books. This smelled like new carpet and bleach. "What's going on?" I asked. My voice was quiet. I didn't recognize it. "Where is my stuff? Where is my car?" Mom crossed her arms. Her smile faded into that look. "The one that said you're being difficult, Addison. We had to sell the car, honey. It was old," Mom said. "And the house?" I whispered. Claire finally pushed off the wall and stepped onto the porch. She jingled the car keys. "We sold the house. We needed the money. Before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from?" I just stared at them. The world felt like it was tilting. What? "We had to clear your sister's debt," Mom said, her voice sharp. "That $214,000 she owed. It was ruining her life. We had to do something." "You weren't here," Claire added, like that explained everything. "We thought you'd understand. Family helps family, right? That's what you always say." "You sold my house." "Don't be so dramatic, Addison," Mom snapped. "It's just a house. You can get another one. Your sister was in trouble." They looked at each other, and then they laughed. It wasn't a big laugh. It was a little chuckle. A shared "phew, glad that's over" laugh. A laugh that said I was silly for even questioning it. They had solved their problem. I was the problem. I felt something in my chest go cold. Not break, just freeze. I looked at my mother's happy face. I looked at my sister's expensive new shoes. I looked at the keys to her new car, probably bought with my money, my house money. And I did something they didn't expect. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just smiled. It was a small, calm, dangerous smile. Their laughter stopped. My quiet was always scarier to them than my anger. "Good," I said. My voice was soft, steady. Mom's head tilted. "Good? What do you mean, good?" "I'm glad it's done," I said, looking at the ugly beige paint. "It simplifies things. Then I suppose you've already met the buyer." Their faces changed. The smugness disappeared. Confusion took its place. "Of course we met him," Claire said, frowning. "A very nice man. From some big company?" "I know," I said. I picked up my suitcase. "I'm glad you liked him." "I'll have to thank him for being so professional." My mother's face went pale. "What does that mean, Addison?" I turned and started walking back down the path. "It means," I said, not looking back. That I hope you got a very, very good price for it. I didn't let them see the ice in my stomach. I didn't let them see the fire in my head. They thought they had taken everything from me. They thought I was the victim. They had no idea what I'd been doing for the last 2 months. They had no idea that I knew. They thought they had sold my house. They were wrong. It all started 6 months earlier. It was our last normal family dinner. Normal for us, anyway, which means Claire was crying. We were at Rossetti's, her favorite Italian restaurant. The kind of place with white tablecloths and tiny, expensive portions. The kind of place I hated. I'd offered to cook at my place. "Oh, Addison, don't be so cheap," Claire had said. "I need a night out." Now I knew why. She needed a public place. She knew I wouldn't make a scene. She was picking at her $40 lobster ravioli. Tears were rolling down her cheeks. Big, perfect movie star tears. It's just, everything is falling apart, she sniffled, dabbing her eyes with a cloth napkin. My mother, Brenda, immediately went into high alert. She put down her wine glass and rubbed Claire's shoulder. "What is it, sweetie? Tell me. We'll fix it." I just kept eating my spaghetti. I'd seen this show before. Many, many times. There was the college tuition she needed, even after my dad had left her a full scholarship fund. She'd spent it on a trip to Europe. I paid. There was the dream car that got repossessed. I paid. There was the bad investment with her sketchy boyfriend. I paid. I was the family bank. I was the responsible one. The boring one. The one who went to college on scholarships, got a good job in finance and saved every penny. The one who bought a house. Claire was the creative one, the free spirit, the one who had bad luck. Mom looked at me. Her eyes were already hardening. She knew I was the roadblock. "Claire?" "What is it?" Mom pressed. "It's the boutique," Claire whispered. "Ah, yes. The boutique. A designer handbag store she'd opened with Mom's help. Mom had co-signed the lease. I knew this because I had to bail them out of the first month's rent. It's just... It failed," Claire sobbed. "Just a little bad luck." "The market is terrible. How bad is it?" Mom asked. Claire mumbled something. "What was that, honey?" "Speak up." Claire took a shaky breath. "It's $214,000. Mom gasped. It was a good performance. I'll give her that. She looked genuinely shocked. "Oh my God," Mom whispered. She looked straight at me. The request was already in her eyes. "Addison, we have to help her." I put my fork down. My food suddenly tasted like ash. "No," I said. Claire's crying hitched. Mom's face darkened. "What do you mean, no?" Mom hissed, keeping her voice low. "This is your sister. She's $214,000 in debt because she bought inventory she couldn't afford." I warned her. "I told you both this would happen." "You're always so negative, Addison," Claire cried, her voice rising. "You're just jealous. Because I took a risk. I followed my dream." "Your dream," I said, my voice cold, "was to buy yourself Gucci bags with a business loan and call it inventory. I saw the books, Claire. You've been paying your rent with it." "That's not true." "Stop it, both of you," Mom ordered. She looked at me. "Addison, she will go to jail. They will take my house. The one your father left me." My dad hadn't left her a house. He left her a mountain of debt. I'd paid that off, too. I'd bought her the condo she lived in. But that was a story for another day. "I am not paying it," I said. "We'll pay you back," Claire insisted. "I swear, just as soon as I get back on my feet." I'd heard that one before. I was still waiting for the $30,000 from the car incident 5 years ago. I have paid her debts, Mom. Over and over. I'm done. "This is the last time I'm even having this conversation," Mom scowled. It was an ugly look. It twisted her face. "You're so cold, Addison," she spat. "Money isn't everything. It's just paper. This is family. Family takes care of family." I looked at them. My mother, who hadn't worked a day since she married my dad. My sister, who thought a budget was a suggestion. They weren't family when I was working 80-hour weeks to get my promotion. They weren't family when I was sick with the flu, and I had to order my own soup. They weren't family when I graduated, and they missed the ceremony because Claire had a really bad breakup. They were family when the bill came. "You're right," I said. I pulled my wallet out. I threw $500 bills on the table. Enough for the meal and then some. Claire's tears stopped. Instantly. She looked at the money. "What's this for?" Mom asked. "This is for dinner," I said, standing up. And it's the last time, I mean it. I am not your safety net anymore. I am done. I walked out of the restaurant. Addison, get back here, my mother yelled. You can't just abandon us. Claire shrieked. I got in my car. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely put the key in the ignition. I sat there for a long time. I felt sick. I felt guilty. And I felt free. I drove home. I locked my doors. I turned on my security system. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. That was the beginning. That night was the night they decided I wasn't their daughter or their sister anymore. I was just a problem to be solved. An obstacle sitting in a house full of money. After that dinner, things got quiet. Too quiet. For 2 months, I heard nothing. Claire didn't call, begging for money. Mom didn't text, just checking in, which was her code for I need you to buy my groceries. It was peaceful. And it made me deeply, deeply paranoid. They didn't give up that easily. Giving up would mean getting a job. I started checking my accounts. Every day, my checking, my savings, my investment portfolio. Everything was locked down. I'd changed all my passwords after the dinner. I thought I was safe. Then one Tuesday, I was paying my mortgage. I did it online. I always paid a little extra toward the principal. I logged into the portal. A pop-up appeared. We see you're logging in from a new device. Please verify your identity. That was strange. I was on my work laptop, the one I always used. I verified my identity and clicked into the main dashboard. Everything looked fine, but I had a cold feeling. I clicked on Account Settings, then Security, and I saw it. Recent. Login activity, November 3rd, IP, my home IP address. November 1st, IP, my home IP address. October 28th, IP, an IP address I didn't recognize. My heart started to pound. I copied the strange IP address. I pasted it into a search engine. The IP address was registered in my mother's town. I felt dizzy. How? How did she get my password? I'd made it a jumble of 16 letters, numbers, and symbols. I dug deeper. I clicked on the Account Documents tab. There was a file there I didn't recognize. Transfer request.pdf. My blood turned to ice. I clicked it. Request to transfer title for property at 124 Maple Drive. Pending review. I scrolled down, and I saw the signature, my signature, or a very good copy of it, and underneath a cosigner. Brenda Clark, cosigner. My mother was not a cosigner. I had bought this house alone, on purpose, to get away from her. I had put down 50%. I had perfect credit. I didn't need a cosigner. How did she get her name on my mortgage? I was about to call the bank, my hands shaking, when my phone rang. It was my lawyer, Mr. Henderson. He's an older man, very sharp. He handled my dad's estate. He knows my family, Addison, he said. He didn't say hello. I'm calling about your property. I just received a very strange call from a title company. They're trying to rush a sale. I couldn't breathe. They can't. It's my house. There was a long, tired sigh on the other end of the line. Addison, he said, his voice grim. Did you, at any point, approve a power of attorney for your property? Giving your mother rights to sell? No, I whispered. God, no. Why would I do that? Then someone forged it, he said simply. They filed it with the county. I'm sending you a scanned copy of what they sent the title company. It just hit my email. My computer pinged. An email from Henderson Law? I opened the PDF. There it was. A legal document. Durable power of attorney. Giving Brenda Clark full rights over all my assets, my property, my bank accounts. And at the bottom, my signature, it looked just like mine, Claire. It had to be Claire. She was always the artist. She could copy any signature, any drawing. When we were kids, she forged Mom's name on a permission slip so perfectly she never got caught. I looked at the notary stamp. It was from a little mail-and-ship place in my mom's town. I knew the woman who owned it, Janice. My mom played bingo with her every Thursday. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't bad luck. This was a conspiracy. They had planned it. My mother and my sister? They had forged my name. They had gotten a friend to notarize it, and they were actively trying to sell my house out from under me. All for $214,000. I thought back to that dinner. My mother's cold face. Claire's fake tears. My mother's words. You're so cold, Addison. Money isn't everything. She was right. That was the day my love for them turned cold. It didn't just fade. It died. It froze solid. The part of me that always made excuses for them, the part that always forgave, the part that still loved my mother. It just stopped. I was not sad. I was not hurt. I was just done. Addison? Are you there? Mr. Henderson asked. I took a deep breath. The shaking stopped. My vision became clear. I'm here, I said. My voice was different. Hard. It's a fake. Okay, we can fight this, he said, his voice all business. I'll file an injunction right now. We'll stop the sale. We'll file a police report. We'll have them. No, I said. Charged with, what did you say? I said no, I repeated. Don't file anything. Don't call them. Don't let them know we're on to them. There was a pause. Addison, what are you thinking? I looked at the forged signature. At the name Brenda Clark. I'm thinking, I said, that they've been feeding on me my entire life. They feed on drama. They feed on reaction. If I confront them, they'll just cry and gaslight me and say it was all a misunderstanding. I'm not doing that. I'm not playing their game anymore. So what's the new game? He asked. We let them, I said. We let them think they're winning. We let them sell the house. Mr. Henderson was silent for a full 10 seconds. Then I heard him chuckle. It was a low, dry sound. Addison Clark, you are your father's daughter after all. Tell me the plan. And I did. I didn't confront them. People like my mother and sister, they feed on reaction. Yelling just makes them feel powerful. Crying just makes them feel justified. If I showed up at their door waving the forged document, it would have been a performance. Mom would have clutched her chest. How could you accuse me? I was just trying to help. The bank must have made a mistake. Claire would have had a full-blown panic attack. You're trying to send me to jail. You hate me. You've always hated me. They would have twisted it. They would have made me the villain. I've seen them do it 100 times. So I got to work. Silence was my new weapon. I met Mr. Henderson at his office the next day. We sat in his big leather chairs, the ones that smelled like old paper and justice. They're stupid, I said. But they're not that stupid. They're rushing the sale. They know they have a limited time before I get a notification. They're sloppy, he corrected. They're working off a forged POA, but the real title is still in your name. For now, we need to move fast, faster than them. So what do? We do 2 things, he said. He leaned forward. He was a shark. He loved this. First, we protect the asset. Second, we build the trap. Part 1, protect the asset, he explained. We couldn't just cancel the forged POA without alerting them, but we could make it useless. We're going to transfer the real property deed, he said. Right now, today, we'll move it into a holding company, an LLC, registered in Delaware, something anonymous, clean, and completely separate from your name. For the next 48 hours, we worked. We created AC Holdings, LLC, Addison Clark, hidden in plain sight. We drafted the paperwork. I signed the real legal deed, transferring my house from Addison Clark individual to AC Holdings LLC owner. Mr. Henderson filed it with the county registrar. It was legal. It was binding. It was done. Legally, I didn't own my house anymore. My company did. And I was the only person who owned the company. Okay, I said, signing the last page. The real house is safe. What about the fake one? That's the trap, he said. The title company, the bank, your mother, they are all working off an old public-facing record. It will take the county weeks, maybe a month, to update their online database with the new LLC transfer. So until then, the decoy title still looks valid. The forged power of attorney still looks like it's attached to the right property. When your mother goes to sell the house, she won't be selling your house. A cold smile touched my lips. She'll be selling an empty title. A piece of paper. Exactly, he said. She'll be committing fraud. Wire fraud, forgery, and theft. All based on an asset she has no legal claim to. The plan was set. But I needed one more piece. They need me gone, I said. They're waiting for me to be out of the way. They're getting nervous. I went home. I waited. 2 days later, Claire called. Her voice was sweet. Too sweet, Addie. I haven't heard from you. Are you mad at me? I'm just busy, Claire, I said. You sound stressed. You know, you really should take a vacation. You work so hard. My heart skipped a beat. Here it was. A vacation? I said, pretending to be tired. I don't know. I can't really afford to. Oh, don't be silly. You have all that money saved. Go somewhere warm. Like Miami. You always loved Miami. I looked at my wall. At the picture of my dad. You know what, Claire? I said, injecting a little hope into my voice. That's actually a great idea. I think I will. I'm going to book a flight. I could hear her smile through the phone. Oh, Addie, that's wonderful. You deserve it. How long will you go for? I don't know. 3 weeks, maybe? Perfect, she said, too fast. 3 weeks is perfect. Have so much fun. She hung up. I called Mr. Henderson. They bit, I said. Good, he replied. Now we need a buyer. I've got one, I said. A friend from business school. She runs a corporate restructuring firm in Chicago. She owes me a favor. She knows how to be aggressive, and she knows how to keep a secret. Perfect, he said. Have her set up a local shell corporation. Have her approach your mother as an anonymous cash buyer looking to invest in the neighborhood. They'll be so excited by the cash. They won't look twice. I made the call. My friend Sarah laughed when I told her the story. Addie, she said, I'll do you one better. I won't just act as the buyer. I'll be the buyer. My firm will acquire the fraudulent title. We'll document every forged signature. We'll record every phone call. We'll hand you a criminal case on a silver platter. The trap was set. All I had to do was pack my bags. I told them I was flying to Miami for 3 weeks. The night before I left, I had them over for pizza. I had to play the part. Now don't burn the place down, I joked, handing my mom a spare key. A key that, as of an hour ago, only opened the garden shed. I'd already changed the real locks. My sister Claire laughed too hard. Don't worry about us, Addie. We'll take care of everything. You just go relax. Her eyes were darting around the living room. She was already measuring for new furniture. My mother hugged me at the door. Be safe, sweetie. Call us when you land. It was the most affection she'd shown me in years. It almost made me sick. The next morning, I posted a picture on Instagram. Me at the airport with my suitcase and a pair of sunglasses. Miami bound. Off the grid for 3 weeks. Vacation, Claire commented almost immediately. Have so much fun. You deserve it. I got in the cab. I went to the airport. I even went through security. Then, I walked right out the arrivals exit and got into a different car. I didn't go to Miami. I went to a small furnished apartment 5 miles from my house. An anonymous short-term rental Mr. Henderson had booked under his firm's name. We called it the War Room. It had a desk, a bed, and a high-speed internet connection. It was all I needed. I was away, but I was watching every single thing. I had my old security cameras, the ones they thought were just for show. They were motion-activated and streamed to my laptop. I had the digital tracker, the one I'd installed on my home computer months ago. When I paid Claire's first boutique debt, I'd had her log into my bank portal from my desktop. While she was doing it, I installed a keylogger and a remote access program. It had felt dirty at the time. I'd told myself it was just for protection. Now it was my best weapon. I watched them. Day 1, 3 hours after my flight. My cameras pinged. My mother's car pulled into the driveway. They didn't even wait. They used the useless key on the front door. I watched them jiggle it, get frustrated, and then I watched Claire pull a crowbar from her trunk. They broke into my house. Their own house, they thought. The irony was bitter. Day 2, the buyer arrived. My friend Sarah, playing the part of Ms. Evans. She was sharp, professional, and looked like she ate people like my mother for breakfast. I was on a muted conference call with Sarah, listening to the whole thing. Sarah, as Ms. Evans. My firm is prepared to offer $220,000 in cash. We can close in 5 business days. Mom's voice. Oh, well, we were hoping for more. The house is worth at least $500,000. Sarah. My offer is $220,000. That's what it's worth to me. I'm buying 10 properties on this street. Take it or leave it. I have another meeting in 10 minutes. I knew they'd take it. My house was worth $500,000, but they weren't trying to get rich. They were just trying to get $14,000. The extra $6,000 was just for fun. Mom's voice, flustered. We'll take it. Yes, we'll take it. Day 4. I tracked their emails. I watched them use my computer. From Brenda Clark to janicenotarygmail.com. Subject, urgent. Janice, we need to get this done fast. The paperwork is all here. She's gone for 3 weeks, so we have time, but the buyer is in a rush. Can you stamp this POA? I'll bring you that casserole you like. Day 7, the closing. Sarah, Ms. Evans, met them at the title office. Sarah's firm bought the house. The $220,000 was wired from my LLC, AC Holdings, into an escrow account. Then, the escrow agent, who was also working with Mr. Henderson, wired the $220,000 directly into my mother's personal checking account. The trap snapped shut. It was done. They had accepted $220,000 of my own money in exchange for a fraudulent title to a house I already owned. It was perfect. Forgery. Conspiracy to commit fraud. Wire fraud day 8. My security camera pinged. A delivery truck. I watched 2 men unload a new leather wraparound sofa, the kind my mother always wanted. Day 10. Another ping. A shiny, new white SUV pulled into the driveway. The one I would see later. Claire got her car. I sat in the dark apartment. I watched them move my furniture to the curb. My grandmother's armchair. My photos. My life. They were throwing it out like trash. I didn't feel angry. I just felt empty and strong. My vacation was almost over. I logged onto an airline website. I bought a one-way ticket from Miami to my home airport, landing the next morning. I needed the luggage tag. I needed the receipt. Every detail had to be perfect. I landed at 10 a.m. I was exhausted, but my heart was steady. I got in a cab. I pulled out my phone and sent a text to my mom. Just landed. The flight was great. Be home in 20 minutes. Her reply came back instantly. Can't wait to see you, sweetie. We have so much to tell you. I looked at the text. I bet you do, I whispered. I stood on the walkway, suitcase in hand. The cab was already gone. My street was quiet. It was late morning. Most people were at work. I could hear a lawnmower buzzing a few streets over. It was all so normal. I looked at them. My mother Brenda and my sister Claire. They were standing on my porch. In front of my front door. They were waiting. They were excited. They had been waiting for this moment. The moment they could tell me. The moment they could see my face break, my heart was steady. It was just a calm, steady thump, thump, thump in my chest. I had rehearsed this. I had watched them on my laptop for weeks. I knew their new clothes. I knew about the new white SUV. I knew my couch was gone. There were no surprises left. Well, Claire said. She jingled the keys to her new car. Aren't you going to say anything? I took in the scene. The ugly beige paint on the porch. The dead patches on the lawn where they'd dragged my furniture out. The 2 empty holes where my nameplate used to be. You changed the locks, I said. It wasn't a question. Mom's fake smile returned. We had to, sweetie. For the new owners. It's all just standard procedure. You understand. The new owners, I repeated. I looked from her face to Claire's. Claire was practically vibrating. She was enjoying this so much. This was the best day of her life. She had finally beaten me. The responsible sister. The boring sister. The sister who always said no. Yes, Mom said. She took a step forward, putting her hand on my arm. I didn't flinch. I just looked at her hand. It was soft. She had new acrylic nails. Pink. Paid for with my money. Addison, you have to understand, she said, her voice dropping into that fake, sympathetic tone, the one she used when she was about to deliver bad news that she was actually happy about. We were in trouble. Claire was in trouble. The $214,000, I said. Claire scoffed. Yes, Addison. The $214,000. The money you wouldn't help us with. Your family. I see, I said. I looked at the new SUV. And did you get a good price for the house? Mom and Claire looked at each other. They smiled. That shared smug smile. We got what we needed, Mom said. We got $220,000, a nice cash offer. It was very fast. The buyer was a professional. $220,000. I asked. I let my voice sound a little confused. A little weak. This was the part they wanted. My confusion. My pain. For a house worth over $500,000? Claire laughed. A real sharp laugh. Oh, Addison, you're always so dramatic. It wasn't worth that much. Not with the old kitchen. And besides, we didn't have time to wait for a bidding war. I was in debt, remember? While you were in Miami getting a tan? We did what we had to do, Mom said. Her voice was firm now. The fake sympathy was gone. This was the justification. You'll thank us someday. We saved this family. We saved your sister. We saved my condo. You always said money doesn't buy happiness. Well, consider this a lesson. My sister leaned in. Her perfume was strong, new, expensive. You always said that, she whispered, her voice full of poison. You always held your money over our heads, always judging us, always saying no. Well, now you don't have it. Now you know what it feels like. It's just a house, Addie. You can get another one. You're the smart one, right? I stood there. I let her words hang in the air. They were so proud of their little plan, their forgery, their lies, their betrayal. They had sold my house. They had taken my car. They had thrown out my life. They had left me on the sidewalk with a suitcase, and they were smiling. So, I said, my voice perfectly calm, where is my stuff? My furniture? My grandmother's chair? My clothes? My father's pictures? Mom waved her hand like she was shooing a fly. Oh, that old stuff. It was so dated. We put it on the curb. I think the garbage truck took most of it. But Claire saved a few of the photo albums. We're not monsters, Addison. They had thrown it all away. My grandmother's chair, the one she rocked me in, my father's books, everything. I felt nothing. The coldness that had started in my chest 6 months ago just became solid. It became steel. I looked at my mother. You threw it away, I said. Don't start, Addison, she warned. Don't you dare try to make us the bad guys here. We did this for family. Something you wouldn't understand. You were selfish. You left us. You went on vacation. You're right, I said. That stopped them. Claire's smile faltered. What? You're right, I said again, louder. It was a lesson. You taught me a lesson. Good, Mom said, nodding, her arms crossed. I'm glad you finally see it our way. I see it very clearly, I said. I took a small step closer. I was on the porch now. We were face to face. You did what you had to do. And you got $220,000. And you paid off Claire's debt. That's right, Claire said. It's done. So you can just go, I guess. She wanted me gone. She wanted to go inside her new house. It's not done, I said. Mom frowned. What's that supposed to mean? I looked at Claire. You said the buyer was a professional, a woman. From a firm? Yeah, Claire said, suspicious. A Ms. Evans, from some big investment company. She was very tough, but we handled her. I nodded. Ms. Evans, yes, I know her. The air changed. The quiet on the street felt louder. My mother's face went stiff. What? What do you mean you know her? I let the silence sit for a long, long time. I watched the color drain from my sister's face. I watched my mother's hand, the one with the new pink nails, start to tremble. What does that mean, Addison? Mom demanded. I looked at the new, ugly beige paint. I looked at the flowery curtains. I looked at my mother, and I smiled. My real, cold, quiet smile. It means, I said, my voice clear and cutting, that the buyer you sold to works for me. The silence was instant. My mother's face went blank. It was like her brain just stopped. Claire was the first one to speak. She tried to laugh, but it came out as a squeak. What? That's not funny, Addie. You're lying. Am I? I asked. I unzipped the front pocket of my suitcase. I pulled out a single folded document. It was crisp, clean. What is this, then? I didn't hand it to them. I held it. My mother stared at it. What are you talking about? We signed the papers. It's done. The house is sold. We have the money. You have my money, I said. The $220,000? That came from my company's bank account. You didn't make a sale. You accepted a wire transfer. Claire grabbed the paper from my hand. Her hands were shaking. She unfolded it. She read it. Her eyes scanned the page, getting wider and wider. What is this? AC Holdings, LLC? What is this? She stammered. That, I said, is the legal deed to this house. The real one? My mother snatched it from Claire. She held it close to her face. This says transferred to AC Holdings, LLC. It's dated 2 months ago, right after our dinner. That's right, I said. The day after you told me I was cold and selfish. The day after I knew you would never stop. I met with my lawyer. I transferred the house into a holding company. My company. The one you can't touch. Claire was shaking her head. Back and forth, back and forth. No, we had the power of attorney. It was legal. Janice notarized it. Janice notarized a forgery, I said, my voice flat. And that forgery gave you permission to sell a property in the name of Addison Clark. But I hadn't owned the house for 2 months. You sold a title that didn't exist. You sold a piece of paper. My mother looked up from the document. Her face was gray. A decoy, she whispered. A decoy, I confirmed. I had my lawyer create a dummy title. One that still looked valid on the public-facing sites. One that would fool a greedy, sloppy notary. One that would fool you. Claire just kept saying no. The money. The money was real. It's in my account. I paid the debts. I bought my car. Yes, the money was real, I said. It was my money. I had my buyer, Ms. Evans, wire it from my LLC through an escrow account right into your bank account. I needed the paper trail. I needed to prove you took it. Prove? Mom's voice was a whisper. Yes, prove. Because the $220,000 you took? Every penny is marked. Every single dollar is part of a criminal investigation for wire fraud. That was the word. Criminal. My sister made a sound. A small choking sound. She stumbled back and sat down hard on the new porch steps. Jail? She whispered. You're sending us to jail? My mother's face crumpled. The mean, hard woman from 5 minutes ago was gone. Now the victim was here. Addison, she cried. The tears came instantly. Addison, no. You wouldn't. You wouldn't do this to your own family. To your mother, she reached for me. I stepped back. You did this, I said. You forged my name. It was a mistake. We were desperate, she wailed. Your sister, she would have gone to prison. We didn't mean to hurt you. We thought you'd just buy another house. You threw my life in the garbage, I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through her crying. You threw my father's things away. You stood here and you laughed at me. You laughed because you thought you had left me with nothing. You thought you had won. We'll give it back. Claire suddenly shrieked from the steps. She stood up, frantic. We'll give the money back. All of it. Well, most of it. The car. I can return the car. Right, Mom? We can fix this. My mother nodded, grabbing onto the idea. Yes, we'll fix it. We'll give it all back. Just call them off, Addison. Call off the investigation. Please, I'm your mother. You can't do this. They were pathetic. All the smugness, all the pride. It was just a thin, brittle shell. And inside was this. Greed, panic, fear. They weren't sorry for what they did. They were sorry they got caught. I looked at my mother's tear-stained face. I looked at my sister, who was trying to calculate how much money she had already spent. You're right, I said. You're my family. My mother let out a sob of relief. Oh, Addie, thank God, I knew you'd understand. But you were wrong about one thing, I said. Her face froze. You said family doesn't forge signatures and sell your home while you're gone. I turned and picked up my suitcase. I agree. I started walking away. Addison, wait. My mother screamed. Where are you going? What are you doing? Addison! I'm not doing anything, I called back. I'm just going home. This isn't your home anymore, Claire yelled. You said it yourself. It belongs to your company. I just kept walking. You can't just leave us. Mom shrieked. Addison, we are your family. I stopped at the end of the walkway. I looked back at them. 2 small, desperate, ugly people standing on a porch they didn't own, in front of a house that was never for sale. No, I said. You're just 2 criminals who got caught. The investigation is already filed. The money is already tracked. It's over. I turned the corner, leaving them standing there. Their screams followed me down the street, but they sounded very, very far away. I walked. I didn't run. I just walked. My suitcase wheels made a click-clack on the sidewalk. It was the only sound I focused on. Their voices were still echoing. Addison, come back! You'll regret this. You're killing your mother, Addison. I turned the corner. Silence. My street was empty again. I sat on a bench at the little neighborhood park. I was 2 blocks away. I just sat. I didn't feel relief. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt still. The steel bar in my chest was finally cool. My phone buzzed. It was my mother. I let it ring. It buzzed again, a text. Addison, I am begging you. This is a mistake. Call off the police. We can talk about this. I looked at the text. I remembered her face when she said, we did what we had to do. You'll thank us someday. I remembered Claire's laugh. My phone buzzed again. A text from Claire. You bitch, you set us up. You always hated me. You were always jealous. Dad loved me more. I almost smiled at that one. Dad. Dad was the one who warned me. Be careful, Addie, he'd told me a month before he died. Your heart is good, but they're like wolves. They only know how to be hungry. I thought he was being dramatic. He wasn't. I texted Mr. Henderson. It's done. They know. His reply was instant. Good. The team is 5 minutes out. Are you clear? I'm clear, I texted back. I had one more thing to do. I opened my email. I pulled up an audio file. I'd been saving it. It was the final piece. The one piece of evidence that wasn't about money. It wasn't about wire fraud or forgeries. It was about intent. When they had broken into my house, they had used my desktop computer. I had watched them do it. They were looking for bank statements, for my passwords, for anything else they could steal. They thought the computer was just a computer. But the remote access program I'd installed wasn't just a keylogger. Anytime the computer was woken up, it started recording. Video from the webcam. Audio from the microphone. I had 40 hours of footage of them trying on my clothes, of them calling my bank, pretending to be me, of them ordering the new couch. And I had a 5-minute conversation from the first night. I attached the audio file to my text thread with my mother and sister. I didn't write a word. I just hit send. I knew they were together. I knew they were panicking. I knew they would play it. I pressed play on my own phone, listening to it one last time. The sound was clear. They were in my office. They were drinking my wine. My sister's voice. This is amazing. It's working. She's really gone. Mom's voice. Of course she's gone. She's so predictable. A little me time. She's probably sitting on a beach right now feeling guilty. Claire. Good. She deserves to feel guilty. She deserves to lose it. Especially after what she said at dinner. I'm done. Who does she think she is? Mom. She's no one. She's just a paycheck, sweetie. She always has been. Even your father said it. Addison will take care of us. And she will. She just doesn't get a choice this time. Claire. What about when she comes back? She's going to flip out, Mom. Let her. Let her scream. Let her cry. What's she going to do? Call the police? And say what? My mother sold my house to save my sister? They'll laugh at her. We'll tell them she was unstable. We'll tell them we were worried about her. It's 2 against 1. We'll be fine. Now, help me find the title for her car. I pressed stop. My phone was silent. No more texts from them. That, I knew, was the final blow. The money was one thing. The fraud was one thing. But the words, she's just a paycheck, sweetie. She always has been. There was no coming back from that. There was no, we didn't mean it. It was the truth. Their truth. I stood up from the bench. I heard sirens in the distance, not loud. Just a quiet, official sound. I looked back in the direction of my house. I could see 2 black cars, no lights, turn onto my street. They were unmarked. Investigators. They pulled into the empty driveway, the one where my car used to be. They were quiet, professional, just as Ms. Evans had been. I saw 2 men get out, both in dark suits. They walked up to the beige porch. My mother and sister were standing there, frozen. I watched from a block away as one of the men showed them a badge. I watched my mother's face crumple. I watched my sister start to scream. A real scream this time. A scream of pure animal terror. I didn't watch as they were questioned. I didn't watch as they were put into the cars. I didn't have to. I turned around. I pulled the handle of my suitcase up. I walked past the park, up the road, to the gate next door to my old house. It was a new gate. White picket. It had a small brass nameplate. It said, Clark. I pushed it open. The lawn was perfect. The paint was a soft gray. The curtains were simple linen. It was the same design as my old house. A mirror image. Same mailbox. Same porch swing. Same everything. Except this house was mine, the one I'd been building for 2 months. The one I'd been living in while they thought I was in Miami. The war room apartment 5 miles away had been a decoy too. I had been right here, 10 feet away, watching them from my new bedroom window. I'd used my inheritance from my father's mother, the money they never knew I had, to buy it. I'd used AC Holdings, LLC. I had quietly moved all my real belongings. My grandmother's chair. My father's books. My real photos. They were all here. Safe. The stuff my mother had thrown on the curb? That was all IKEA. Things I'd bought just for them to destroy. I stepped inside. I closed the solid wood door. I heard the deadbolt click into place. Home. I leaned my back against the door and let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for 6 months. The house was quiet. It smelled like lavender and old books. I looked around. There, in the entryway, was the small table my dad had built. There, in the living room, was my grandmother's armchair, sitting by the fireplace. My old worn-out couch. My favorite painting. My life. I had moved everything in the middle of the night. In the 2 days before my flight, I'd hired a private, bonded moving crew. They were in and out in 4 hours. While my mother and sister were sleeping, I was moving. While they were plotting, I was packing. I walked into the kitchen. I made myself a coffee. My old sputtering machine. It felt good. I took my coffee and walked upstairs. My bedroom. My real bed. My old quilt. I sat in the chair by the window. This was the window I had watched them from. I could see my old house perfectly. The black cars were still there. The investigators were going inside. They were taking pictures of the new couch, of the new SUV, evidence. My old house looked sad. The beige paint was cheap. The flowery curtains were ugly. It looked like them. I felt a buzz in my pocket. It was Mr. Henderson. I answered. "It's done," he said. "I see them," I said. "They're being taken in for questioning. We filed for an immediate freeze on their assets. The bank accounts, the condo, the car. It's all frozen pending the fraud investigation. So she can't sell the car," I said. "She can't even buy gas for it," he replied. "They took the $220,000. They have to account for it. And they can't. The money is marked. The audio file you sent was definitive. That's not a mistake. That's premeditated conspiracy." "Good," I said. "Addison," he said, his voice a little softer. "Are you all right?" I looked at my grandmother's chair across the room. "I am," I said. "I really am." "Thank you, Mr. Henderson. You're your father's daughter," he said again. He would be, well, he'd be raising hell. But he'd be proud. "Call me if you need anything." He hung up. I sat there for a long time. I watched the sun start to go down. The investigators were efficient. They were in and out in an hour. They took the new white SUV. It was towed. Evidence. Then a different car came. A locksmith. He was changing the locks on my old house, the one my company owned, locking my mother and sister out. Not that it mattered. They weren't coming back. The street was empty again. Just 2 houses, side by side. One was a crime scene, a hollowed-out shell filled with cheap furniture and bad memories. The other was my home. I thought about what they said. "She's just a paycheck." "You're so cold, Addison. Family takes care of family." I had taken care of them. My whole life. I paid for Claire's college. I paid for my mother's condo. I paid off their debts over and over. I had given them everything. And they hadn't just stolen my house. They had tried to steal my life, my past, my father's memory. They had thrown it on the curb. They had laughed. I didn't feel angry anymore. I just felt free. They thought they were taking from me, but they were just showing me who they were. I had believed them. For 31 years, I had believed the performance, the unlucky sister, the worried mother. It was all a lie. My father was right. They were just hungry. I closed the curtains. I didn't want to look at that house anymore. It was just a building. It didn't matter. My home was here. Justice wasn't the black cars. It wasn't the jail cell they would sit in. Justice was this. The silence. The peace. The knowledge that I had been smart enough. I had been strong enough. I had saved myself. Justice didn't need my anger. It didn't need my tears. It just needed proof. It just needed me to finally stop forgiving them. It just needed me to lock my door. Inside my new home, everything was still. The walls were painted the same soft gray as my old house, but the air felt cleaner. It felt lighter. It was untouched by betrayal. I sat on my balcony, my real balcony. I watched the sun dip behind the trees. The street was dark. My old house was just a shadow next door, empty. I wondered what they were doing, what they were saying. I wondered if they were in a cell. I wondered if they finally understood. I didn't really care. My phone buzzed. I looked at it. It was on the table. A text message from my mother. It must have been from the police station. Maybe they let her make one call, one text. I looked at the screen. We didn't mean to hurt you. I love you. Please fix this. I looked at the words. I love you. They felt empty. Like the house next door. Like the holes in the gate where my name used to be. I thought about texting her back. I thought about sending her the audio file again. I thought about all the things I could say. You don't love me. You love my money. You're just a paycheck. Remember? You threw my father's things in the trash. You laughed. I picked up the phone. My thumb hovered over the block button, but I didn't press it. I didn't reply. Some things don't deserve answers. Some people don't deserve a response. My silence was the only answer they would ever get from me again. My silence was the one thing they couldn't twist. They couldn't use. They couldn't feed on. They thought they had stolen my home. They thought they had taken my money and my future. But what they really lost was a daughter. They lost a sister. They lost the one person who had spent her entire life cleaning up their messes, and now they had to sit in their own. I turned my phone off. I sipped my coffee. It was cold, but it didn't matter. Justice didn't need shouting. It just needed proof. And it needed me to finally choose myself.